Oh my gosh, I forgot my cane. But I think I'd make it. Oh. I don't know why I thought I could do this today, because thank you. Because Joe was always here with me. He traveled with me whenever I went to do this. He was my backup man, bringing my costume and reading the paper if I forgot a word in the poem. So this is it's going to be a struggle, but thank you. There's no other place that I'd rather struggle than right here with my family, my church family. Thank you. Before I get into the poem, I just want to tell you a little bit about the man who I'm going to talk about, or whose poems that I will read. Paul Laurence Dunbar was born at 311 Howard Street in Dayton, Ohio, on June 27, 1872. His father, Joshua, had escaped from Kentucky via the Underground Railroad, and he joined the Union Army, in fact, the 55th Massachusetts Regiment, during the Civil War. Under the threat of immediate execution upon capture by the rebel soldiers, who frequently killed or hanged them rather than take them as prisoners of war. So he joined the Army instead. Dunbar married Matilda Murphy, but separated when Paul was 2 years old and divorced in 1876. Paul learned to read from his mother, who recognized his talents for language at an early age. She made many sacrifices, cleaning houses, taking in wash, whatever she could do, so that he could be educated. Paul Laurence Dunbar stood out. He was the only student of color at Dayton Public Schools, and the only one in his, you know what, I need my glasses. Yeah, you know that feeling? Well, just hang with me, folks. I'll be right back. I'm not going anywhere. Yeah. Oh, you're right here with me? Oh, boy, do I need that. Don't fall off now. Don't. Hang on. Hang on. Now, where was I? He was the only student of color at Dayton Public Schools and the only one in the Dayton High School where he was class president, president of the Literary Society, class poet, and the editor of the class newspaper, along with Wilbur and Orville Wright, the Wright brothers. They were classmates. He wrote the class song, and at graduation, it was sung at the Dayton Opera House on June 16, 1891. Dunbar's talents would soon be dashed by his encounter with racism. He had dreams of attending Harvard for a law degree. He needed a job. No offers came. He took a job as an elevator boy at the Callahan Building in downtown Dayton for $4 a week. Still writing, he became known as the elevator boy poet. Dunbar took out a loan to publish his first book in 1893 called Oak and Ivory. Later that year, he read his poetry at the first World's Fair in Chicago, where he met Frederick Douglass and other prominent African Americans. In 1896, his second book, Major and Minors, was noticed by well-known white critic and writer William Dean Howells. The speaking tour that followed made Dunbar famous among black and white audiences. His reputation soon spread overseas. Although Dunbar felt his best work was his poetry in standard English, he was celebrated almost exclusively for his folk poetry about African Americans written in dialect, which I will be doing today. This disappointed him during his whole lifetime. Dunbar's dialect poetry is often about courtship, folk traditions, and other aspects of the slave experience. He also tended to portray the folk simplicity of slaves rather than the injustice and the oppressions of slavery itself. Also, his work appeared in the New York Times, Lippincott's Monthly, Saturday Evening Post, in addition to 4 novels, 6 volumes of poetry, song, and essays were written. Suffering from tuberculosis and alcohol was the prescribed medicine. That's what they told you to take. There was no cure for tuberculosis back then. So he became an alcoholic. He died on February 9th, 1906. He was 33 years old, 7 months and 12 days, according to his mother's count. Charles Davis argues that no American poet, black or white, has approached Dunbar's success in using the spoken language of the people as medium. And the reason I'm really interested in Paul Laurence Dunbar, because I heard my parents, especially my mother, and her friends. She had a little cadre of peeps, we call them these days, of girlfriends. And they would get together often and do Paul Laurence's readings. And also, a minister at church, I mean, he would just take off sometimes right from the pulpit and do one of Paul Laurence's readings, which was really funny. Everybody knew about Paul Laurence back when I was growing up. Some, whoa. Some 80 years ago. I've reacquainted myself with him, and I enjoy doing his poetry, and especially the dialect poetry, which is very hard. You have to listen kind of close to see what I'm talking about, but I think you'll get the idea. So, all right, I'll just go into my actor mode, and we'll talk about the party. As I said, I forgot my cane, but I guess I can. I don't think I bought it. Well, you know, your memory fades at this age. You don't know what you're doing half the time. Right? Yeah. So there you are. But at this party, Paul Laurence Dunbar. I'm going to take off my jewelry. Didn't wear all this fancy stuff back then. But, you know, when you're an actress, you have to kind of play the part. So, well, that's what actresses like. We like bling. We like excitement. We like lights. We like shiny stuff. You know, jewels. Okay, there we are. The Party by Paul Laurence Dunbar. They had a great big party down at Tom's the other night. Was I there? You bet. You never in your life seen such a sight. All the folks from 4 plantations was invited, and they come. They come trooping, thick as children, when they hears a fife and drum. Everybody dressed their finest. Hush your mife and get away. Why, I ain't seen such fancy dressing since last quarterly meeting day. Girls all dressed in silks and satins, nary wrinkle, nary crease. Eyes are batting, teeth are shining, and hair brushed back as slick as grease. Skirts all tucked and puffed and ruffled, every breasted seam and stitch. Why, if you'd have seen them with the missus, couldn't swear to which was which. And men's, all dressed up in Prince Albert swallowtails, it'd take your breath. Can't tell you nothing more about it. You should have seen it for yourself. Who was there? Now, who you asking? How you expect I gonna know? Might think I stood there counting everybody at the door. Old Master Barber's houseboy Isaac bought that gal Melinda Jane, her hanging on his elbow and him a-strutting with a cane. Ooh, that Harvey Jones was jealous, seemed to stick him like a thorn, but he just smiled up at Vinnie Carter, trying hard to not let on. But a person would have noticed from the direction of his look that he was watching every step that Ike and Mindy took. Ike found a chair and asked her, "Won't you sit with a smile?" And she bowed up and answered, "Oh, I reckon 'tain't worth the while." That was just for style, I reckon, because she sat there just the same, and she stayed there till he fetched her for to play some sort of game. And I heard her saying proper as she riz to go away, "Y'all really must excuse me, for I hardly cares to play." But I seen her in a minute with the others on the floor, and there wasn't any of them dancing anymore. But she come down the floor, a-bowing and a-swaying and a-swinging, putting on high-toned manners all the time that she was singing. "Oh, sweet Johnny, up and down, swing him all around. Oh, swing Johnny, up and down, swing him all around. Fare thee well, my darling." Well, you should have seen old man Johnson. He's a caution now, you bet. He's hitting on close to 100, but he's spry and limber yet. And he's loud house sort of giggling. "I ain't old, I'll let you see. I ain't old, just let you see. What's the use of getting feeble? Now you youngsters just watch me." And he grabbed old Aunt Maria. She weighed 300 more or less, and he swung around the cabin, swinging Johnny like the rest. "Go it, swing her, Uncle Jim." And he swung her too, I reckon, like a youngster, who but him. Well, that was better than young Scott Thomas, trying hard to be so smart. You know, when they sing that song and they get to that there part, that in some lady's new brick house, in some lady's garden, if you don't let me, I'll jump out. So fare thee well, my darling. Well, they makes this big circle around you, and you got to bust the line. Well, that darky was so anxious, he like to bust himself a trying. Kept on blundering around and fooling till he gave one great big jump and headed right for the fireplace, right plump. It had fire in it, mind you. Well, I thought my soul I'd bust. I tried to keep from laughing, but it seemed like die I must. You should have seen that man a-scrambling through the ashes and the grime. Did it burn him? Child, he didn't give it time. Threw them ashes and them cinders every which way, I guess, and you never in your life, I reckon, clap your eye on such a mess. So he really made a picture with his clothes all full of ashes and his face all full of grime. Well, it liked to stop the party, and I reckon, like as not, that it would have too, if Tom's wife Mandy hadn't happened on the spot to invite us all to supper. Well, we scrambled to that table. I'd like to tell you more about what we had, but I ain't able. Tell you just a few things, though. I know I hadn't ordered, for I know you'll start to hankering and your mouth will mince the water. We had wheat bread as white as cotton, corn pone just like gold, hog jaw hot and billowing, roasted shoat, and ham sliced cold. Look out, what's the matter with you? Don't be falling on the floor. If it don't affect you that way, I won't tell you nothing more. There now. We had hot chitlins. There you go again, trying to fall. Can't you stand to hear about it? Suppose you'd been there and seen it all. See them great big sweet potatoes laying by that possum side. Seen that coon and all its gravy. Lord, I'd ration you up and die. Well, Mandy said, "Y'all really must excuse me. There wasn't much upon my shelves, but I done my best to please you, so sit down and help yourselves." And Tom said, "I don't believe in apologizing and professing. Let 'em take it like they catch it." Elder Thompson asked a blessing. I wish you'd seen that colored preacher. bow his head and close his eye, clear his throat and bow his head, one eye shut and one eye open. This is every word he said. Lord, look down on tender mercy on such generous heats as these. Make us truly thankful. Amen. Pass that Paulson with you, please. Well, we drank and ate our portion till there was nothing left. We felt just like new sausage. We now stuffed ourselves to death. But Tom know how we be feeling, so he asked to fiddle around. But he made us clean the cabin for to dance that supper down. Jim's the fiddler, tuned his fiddle, put some rosin on his bow, set the pine box on the table, and let her go. Now that Jim's a fiddler now, I tell you, and he made that fiddle ring till the oldest and the lamest had to give their feet a fling. Jigs, cotillions, breakdowns, and a waltz or two. Bless my soul, that music winged them, and them people like the flute. Crippled Jim, crippled Joe, the old rheumatic, danced that floor from side to middle, threw away his crutches and hopped it, which rheumatism gets the fiddle. And Reverend Thompson got so tickled that he like to lost his grace, had to take both feet and hold them down to keep them in their place. And them sinners and them Christians got so mixed up on that floor that I don't know how they would have parted if the trump had chanced to blow. Well, we kept on it. We danced that way and kept at it. In the most ridiculous way, till the roosters in the barnyard cleared their throats and crowed for day. But I tell you, you should have been there, because everything was rich and prime. But it ain't no use in talking about it. We just had one scrumptious time. Thank you.